Good evening, heroes and heroines, and welcome to Practising Programming on C. On the 53rd anniversary of the Beach Boys' Pet Sounds album, and the 8th anniversary, I believe, of Kate Bush's Director's Cut. So we've got an hour and a half of music queued up for that. It's also the anniversary of Bob Dylan's Blonde on Blonde. I don't have this on FLAC, sadly. This is also released in '66, same as the Beach Boys, yeah. And then Future Sound of London also had a record out on this day in '94, and the Reyes soundtrack was released 6 years ago. But yeah, let's do this for now. Do these couple of albums, an hour and a half. So I think I might do this and then possibly take a brief break to get some food, and then continue to do some more stuff after this, and then maybe get to like midnight here, maybe a bit after midnight, and then hopefully we've actually got some, a fair bit of stuff done. So where we're up to is, I haven't looked at these guys by the way yet. Still know how to make Daughter happy. I don't think we've made Daughter happy just yet, because we haven't written a book with a good deep mathematical model of Bach's fugues. We've only had about 20 hours in which to try and do that, but we haven't got there. So yeah, we did actually do we did that, and now we're coming up to do the test the deletion, but realised that we couldn't actually test the deletion of projects that are some way into the configuration. By which I mean, if they're not the last one, essentially, we can't actually delete this project until we can reorganize Risky so that it's up above there. So that's what we're doing now. We're doing the reorganized projects. Yeah, I've done none of that stuff. So yeah, let's jump into the thingamajig and reorganize projects. We've got a top level version and a non-top level version. So have a little gander at the S parent of both of these dudes so far. So yeah, this is the loop. If I'm not mistaken, what we'll probably be doing is, in terms of unifying these two people, we always know the number, don't we? Like, I don't think we're going to be modifying the S parent count. So I sort of feel like both of those numbers could just be pulled straight out. Good evening, Daughter. When was that sent? 18 seconds. Okay. Didn't miss it by too long. Yeah, if it turns out that this is only used... Actually, yeah, it's not going to be only used for the count. We are going to want to modify this pointer, actually. Similarly, probably the S child as well, I guess. Don't see why not. So let's change those to take an actual pointer to the pointer. Because basically, if we do need to reorganize, then we're going to have to be writing out the writing out the stuff to file again. And then reading that stuff back into the buffer. I mean, we could actually use the same buffer because all this stuff is fixed size. So I guess even if we do that, we still need to fix up those pointers, I think. So yeah, let's just let that happen. So it's going to be dereferenced that. And then before returning the results, you want to actually set the S parent to be equal to the DB data file. And also you need to cast it. And similarly for the child. Is that at all right? Of course it's not. What doesn't it like? Right. Do you not have to do that? Right, yeah, that's the other guys. And then these just aren't passing the right thing. Okay, so at least I got that syntactically correct. So reorganized projects is up there. Let's let the guy below also do that. Yeah. Did I make it take it? I did make it take it. And also that isn't a... Oh, it's this one that isn't a block, isn't it? So this should give me an error, shouldn't it? On the S parent. Yeah. Cool. Warning, rather. Okay. So, what we're trying to do here is so we found a child who isn't actually the person that we want to be looking for. So I think what we do is sort of this. If the configured and stored product IDs match, then we need to do the swap. So we need to figure out, we actually need to get a new product generations accumulator going on, just so we know how much stuff we're actually moving into the prior position. If they don't match, then I think we actually have to accumulate the project indices of this child. Does that sound fine? Reasonable to you? I think that's what you should do. So you remember what I was saying about the having to fix up the S parent? And that the only thing that we're actually using that's from the parent is the child count. I think that's still holding, isn't it? So I'll tell you what, I'm just going to go for it, and I'm going to pull this thing out into one function straight away. Because when we come to write this this stuff out, we're not going to have to modify we're not going to have to modify this child count. So in the same way, you know where we did the delete top level thing, right? Where we did the delete, it was within the interior, was it? No, it was here. So here, where we were incrementing the child, decrementing the child count of the parent, we had to do that differently for these two people because this parent's type was a DB block project, whereas this one was a DB header project. You had to know that so that you could decrement, and we had to write that out separately from the other stuff. Right, we had to write up to the parent first. We then needed to write out a new parent, skip past the size of the parent, and then only then can we go into the interior person. But I don't think we need to care about that for the reorganization function, because if we're reorganizing, we don't need to change the count of these people. Similarly, if we don't find the person, we don't need to change the count either, because if we don't find them, then that'll get handled later on in here when we insert the DB project. Insert project into DB, because we've said that this will have returned false, basically. I think all this is garbage, by the way. And all of this stuff is going to just be handled inside the reorganized project top level. And also, as I was thinking yesterday, this actual SI equals CI loop, this for loop here is actually going to happen in reorganized projects. So it's possible we can just get rid of this actual loop. Because, I mean, frankly, I'm effectively going to be doing this, aren't I? Once I've done with this thing, I will have either reorganized or I will have said that we need to insert a project. So for all that, we might even need to say, we might even need this. You could just say if reorganize project to top level, or if we don't manage to do that, then we do this, right? Sync DB, yeah, sync projects, isn't it? With a similar function. Yeah, so we need to set this thing up to be the same. Let's just make that happen. Because I don't want to write some stuff and then find that there's other people who are kind of scuppering our chances. So we've got this. If they match, look, it is true. Identity generation. Sync, otherwise we're going to do I suppose this is going to be just the S, is it? The stored person. Who are we talking about in this situation? There's the S child. So locate first child of project. Yeah. This should be a yes. What's happening? Okay. Okay, so I think we've got those guys lined up. Now, remember I was saying about the child can't be the only thing that is going to be different? It's kind of interesting actually that because we're casting this guy to a car star, we could conceivably roll that into the interior function. But I don't think I will, because that would mean that I'd have to yeah, I think about just so we've got the symmetry between this and this, and we have to keep these guys, or at least we need to keep the parents at least separate because it's a different type. Right, top guy is a DB header project. This guy's a DB block project. We could do the child, but I think I'm happy to do them both separate. So let us do I guess this result equals true here is going to be the result of this, the interior project, isn't it? The interior thing. I guess. So So this person is going to have to take, well, it's going to be, what's it going to be doing? It's going to be doing basically all this, isn't it? But rather than doing the S parent child count, we're just going to pass in a child count. We are definitely going to have to know the pointer for the child and the parent. So yeah, and the generations, aren't we, surely? So yeah, as I was saying, you only need to do that. You only needed that for the counts. So let's screw that. Right. So I guess let's put that here where we would get kind of using it. The child index. Okay, let's make it say that too. And we don't need to care about that when we come out, do we? I don't think. 'Cause I reckon all this should happen. It only needs to happen interior to it. Configure child index, child count, and the S child. Yeah, I feel like this is okay. Basically setting this byte here. I feel like that's okay. So you had until 22. So you had until 2 minutes ago to make a paper and a presentation for that paper. Oh wow, okay. Should work on not putting things off the last moment. So that's something that I definitely used to struggle with. I definitely used to be the same way, dude. Putting things off at the last moment. And I mean, frankly, I probably still do, actually, with some things. And I think, I don't know if you're at all interested in UK politics, but putting things off for the last moment seems to be something that our people are currently doing, right? UK is um, sort of in the process of leaving the EU, and we had a deadline to leave. I think the deadline was the 29th of March or something, 27th of March. That was the original deadline. but they just didn't agree anything. They didn't agree on the withdrawal agreement, and like just getting close up to the deadline. Finally, Theresa May, the current prime minister, sort of reached out to the well, it was only the Labour Party, and tried to talk to them about how to get through this thing, when they should have been talking about it all together from the very beginning, just figuring out um, how to proceed. But she left it right to the last moment to actually try and cooperate with other people. Yeah, that's them. But for me, in terms of programming and putting things off in programming, that's not something that I struggle with anymore. And I suppose I don't actually have any deadlines. So I don't actually have that problem to deal with. But one thing that I do in terms of programming is I just sort of give myself a non-negotiable clause, right? And for me, my non-negotiable thing is simply that I do the thing. Okay. So I don't modify it, saying I want to do the thing in an efficient way, or I want to do the thing in a creative way. I don't want to do the thing in an interesting way. I don't do the thing in a fun way, or I don't want to do the thing by a set time. My non-negotiable is just I want to do the thing, right? And that kind of works okay for me. If you have got a deadline, then it's a deadline that you can't negotiate. I mean, that kind of has to be your non-negotiable thing, doesn't it? Really. So I guess it depends if you buy into the idea that it's non-negotiable, really. I guess when I was kind of doing um, assignments and stuff, I guess I just had the idea in mind that you could like ask for extensions, and maybe I just didn't. I just didn't buy into the idea that the deadline was non-negotiable, right? And also back then, I didn't really have the idea of non-negotiable clauses. Um, but yeah, I don't know if that'll help at all. It's just that idea of having something that's non-negotiable, and just make it one thing. Don't make it like a bunch of different things, different potentially competing things that you have to kind of prioritize. Just pick one thing that's non-negotiable and just go for that thing. I think that's helped me in terms of programming. Basically, it kind of helps because it sort of removes the pressure of like this whole system that you need to build. Do you know what I mean? So like for this thing that I've just done recently, which is parsing of the config file, and I'm currently in the middle of doing the database upgrade for it. Although I have done at least one parse before parsing the config file, I hadn't done one that has like the capabilities of the current parser. Essentially, like merging scopes into stuff, including different files. Right. So for me, that kind of a parser with all the various features will be kind of a big a big-ish system. If I had in mind the complexity of the thing, and I was like thinking, gosh, I need to kind of like keep all these balls in the air, I need to try and get my head around the complexity of it, for me, I guess it could have been more pressure, could have been tougher to do. But just having that idea of non-negotiability, just that I'm going to do it, it just kind of like cuts all the crap out, and you just sort of you just like, yeah, whatever. As I need to address stuff, it'll just come into my line of vision, I guess. But the key thing is just that I'll do it. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? So I think you're kind of, you've got two competing things, haven't you? You've got the deadline, and you've got the interest. You've got the interesting nature of the thing. So I mean, even like, yeah, I don't even think that even like the interestingness of a thing even comes into it for me. I mean, like the stuff I'm doing right now, just reorganizing the database stuff. It's not super interesting, really, is it? It's just purely like, taking hunks of memory and just like putting, switching them around or omitting them from a file. Like, it's not super interesting, but it's just something I've got to do. Had to make a paper on control systems in electrical power grid in our country. Ah, there's no resource on them. That's how to just make episodes. Oh, I see. Cool. That's much it. Oh, the database stuff is more interesting than the control system power grid. Wow, cool. Well, I'm glad that I'm doing something that is actually thingy. What do you call it? Interesting. What was it taking? It takes everything, doesn't it? Well, almost. It is taking it by the same level of thing. The S-child isn't taking, so I'll need to dereference that person when we get there. So the child index came in as the child index. The child count is the, sorry, the S parents child counts, right? Now, I don't think I need to do that, do I? Or do I? Maybe I do. So it's a child index, child count, and then the S child, so we need to dereference this. But remove the screen on the side, so only 7.0. Here there isn't. Oh, nice one. Sync. I've got syncing on the brain. Cheers. Oh, I can hear Kate Bush starting. Excuse me if I start to swoon. Yeah, right, so it's the whole thing, isn't it? The only difference here is that it's the counts. I might just have to step in and just make sure that I've actually dereferenced that in the right way. In fact, could this tell me? Okay, it kind of can. So I guess I have dereferenced that in the right way. Because there's no other option. So let's us get another accumulator going on here. It's like the this ACK. And we have got the G. Now we haven't accumulated into the generations, have we? So I think we are still entitled at this point to actually initialize from the main accumulator. I think this should be giving us the number of entries in each generation for the current person that we actually want to be moving. Right, I think that's what's going to happen. So let's step into this and just see what we're presented with, see if it's actually getting through there for a start and giving us anything that we could potentially consider to be what we want. Don't want to power off. So where's this stuff? They're Cinera bitwise, okay. So let's do this and do that. And I think we are calling all the stuff that we need to be calling. There's a 0 there. And I think we should be reorganizing projects top level because the person that we are reorganizing is at the top level. So I kind of have considered doing it, but the reason I haven't is simply because Vim doesn't automatically actually syntax highlight them. That's basically the only reason. While wow, how did I do that? Oh right, that's how you can do that. Interesting. Control W just does that. Yeah, whereas these guys, it does automatically syntax highlight them. So I don't think it does that. Yeah. Never know which way I need to actually do these guys. Yeah, it just doesn't know how to do that. Which is a thing that Forcoder can do, can't it? Or at least Casey's Forcoder. Ah, okay. Well, I mean, it's basically like the highlight file. Probably under colours, I guess. So yeah, apparently it's this sort of a thing. I'm not exactly sure what AU is supposed to be standing for. Oh, auto, right. Yeah, so it's a bit cheesy. I don't know that it can do automatically. So yeah, I don't know. Actually, let's kill that thingy. There might be a script that does it, but I just haven't looked into it. So I guess, yeah, if it did just do it automatically, then I probably would actually shorten them again. Yeah. You know what? I should actually look up how to set that. It's basically, I think it's a CGDB specific thing. Maybe. Well, actually, it doesn't necessarily have to be. Actually, it could be a GDB thing. What are the other settings? Repeats raw. So I guess raw was the original. You can print an array, can you? How could that work? Yeah, I mean the entries in a generation is an actual array, isn't it? Basically, it'd be cool if it could print out, like if it could use this count. Surely it couldn't though. But at least you'd have to you have to tell it. It'd be cool if it could print out those 4 values, wouldn't it? Entry values. What the hell is that? Requires an argument. Okay. For required arguments, no, only preferred if needed, both compact defaults. So yeah, I'm not seeing much difference there. Yeah, really not sure what that's trying to tell me. But anyway, we've got in generation 0 we've got 1, generation 2 we've got 5, generation 3 we've got 2, and generation 4 we've got 4. So yeah, we've encountered risky. So basically what's happened here is that you can cast it to an array. Oh. So where are we? So yeah, we've got the pointer to the entries in generation there. So you're saying, so the type of that is a uint 64, isn't it? T. And the, well, it's the G count, isn't it? So there's a syntax error in expression near to there. You went 64. Oh. It kind of non-constant expressions could be, couldn't it? Yeah. Well, can't be that, can it? Surely. Because the actual pointer is the entries in generation. For uint. What is the actual size of that guy? So it's actually a uint 32. So, and we know that we know that the first one is 1. The second is whatever it is. So we know that these are our dudes. We know this is a uint 32t. We know the pointer itself is here. And we know there's 4 of them. But we'll get an 80, this, and this. So what was it? It's 1. 1, 5, 2, 4. Did I get the right thing? Type and the count and the pointer. Oh, hang on. Is the count 64? I think did you reference it? Oh, I wonder if did you reference, no. Ah, dude. So what did I try earlier? Oh, I tried dereferencing just the G, is that right? Yeah. I see. Nice one. That's fantastic. That gives us another plus plus. Gosh. So 1, that's beautiful. Now can I do this? Let's check. No. So yeah. I need to get the actual count. And then And then I can just plop it in manually. Brilliant. That's exactly what I want to see. Or at least that's exactly what I want to be able to do. I don't know whether those numbers are correct. So let's check if they could be correct. So remember, we're looking at risky. From the config, right? Which means that we've processed hero. So what this is telling us, it should be telling us that in hero, the hero contains one entry in generation 0, which is this person here. 5 people in generation 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. 2 people in generation 3, or the next one down, which is 1, 2. Yep, that's bang on. And then 4 from the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, that's perfect. What about reference compare printed? So using the dollar. I'm going to do this. Try to get a GW function for me. You can create functions, can you? Blimey. GDB is like the Vim of debuggers, isn't it? You just keep on learning stuff about it. We need to set a variable to count. I don't know if that's how you do it. Surely it's not actually, because when you do set print, pretty is that's how you do that. Is it declare? Can you declare? No. Let. There's a set var. No counting from context. Okay, so let's try the expression. Gcount will count to the expression, won't it? Oh. Aha. So, if we now do the uint32, Well, actually, what the record count is? So they do reckon that is 4, which is pretty nice, isn't it? If I just set this to be, because I don't want to, set that to be 3, print that, and then if I set that to be actually the G count, yeah, cool. So that's pretty nice. I need the dollar. Yeah, this one didn't work. For some reason. uint32_t. And you know, like in the same way. So if you know, doing 4 works, doesn't it? If we just replace 4 with dollar counts. Yeah, we're just getting a syntax error in the expression. That's unfortunate. Let's have a look at the local ACK though. Oh yeah, we kind of can't, sadly, can we? Because we don't know. Yeah, so I've got a G. I guess it's fair enough actually, isn't it, that it dereferences it because... Well, actually no, because the local ACK is also going to have to dereference that pointer. I could probably get away actually with just using 4 all the time, because when I push generation, right, we always try and stick 4 of them on. Basically. That should die. Well, that's not dying. Shouldn't somebody at least be starting to die a bit? I suppose if this was accessed in this way by the program, it would start to die. But yeah, I guess that's fine. We can just deal with that. I'm fine with hard coding that. I mean, it could be nice if you could say that a variable is equal to this bit of information, then some parameter, and then this bit of information, right? So that I could print the G, the local ACK, and this ACK. So here we go. We've got this ACK. We've got 1, 3, and 2. Got 1 and 1. And we've got the main G. Could have done with writing those in the other order, really. But we've got the main G, which is the people that we've accumulated so far, which is just equal to hero. We've got the people in the local ACK, which I believe should just be bitwise. Like this is local ACK is ourselves, isn't it? This is the person with looking for what I was going to say. I mean, this is equal to the size of bitwise, isn't it? Essentially. Because bitwise was like this. Right? So we had somebody in generation 0 and somebody in generation 1, and that was your lot, which is what we're getting here. And then for this, we've got 1, 3, and 2, which is going to be risky. Oh yeah, Jesus Christ. So that is exactly what, that is actually right. So this ACK, yeah, this is actually the person that we're looking for, because the child, the configured child, is risky. Right. I think that's right as well. 152, sorry, 132. So we've got obviously somebody in generation 0 So there's always going to be 1 in generation 0. Or rather, there's always going to be 1 in the current generation. Which I'm pretty sure that's what that is, isn't it? Yeah, current generation 0. So yeah, 1, and then we've got to look for the projects. 1, 2, 3 in generation 1. And we've got code and reader in generation 2. So yeah, that's bang on. So basically what we're trying to do here, having found risky, we're just trying to decrement. Basically we need to first of all move the block that corresponds to we probably actually need to save off, don't we, the incoming S child, so we know where that's starting from. Probably. We'll see though. We basically need to be, in the projects block, we need to be chopping out we need to write up to the incoming first child we then need to write out from this person that we just found to the end of the current generation, isn't it? Is that right? Is it to the end of the current generation, or is it just the current project? Yeah, it might actually just be the current project. Right. Basically, the rationale being that we want the person that we're looking at. We're looking at risky. We want this person to be positioned back here. So yeah, you just take that project, stick it here, and then you write out you write out what was here, there, and then you write out the rest of the project's block, I think. I think that should put everybody in the right places. And then you go over to the assets block, and what you do is you, for each asset, you write out well, remember that they're all they're all done by generation, aren't they? So we have to do them. We have to do the generate for each asset. We need to say for each generation. You need to write out the main as it is, because that's in the right place. You then need to skip past this person, write out all of these people with this index to having been decremented by 1, or rather decremented by this number, and then you want to increment this person by this number. Is that right? So yeah, we were keeping, I was saying to keep S child saved off. So let's do that. So we don't actually touch that person. We do accumulate their things because we do need to know that information, but let's just use a different thing here for this person. Right, this is going to be this child. Or this, yeah, this child will be fine. Right, so that's simply going to be the skipped version. It's just going to be the next person after S child. Right, so this child is going to be that. Yeah, that seems a bit not quite right. Like, who are we thinking we're supposed to be talking about here? These people are both accumulating the S child. I don't think that's right. Could be wrong. I don't think it's right. Because that accumulation, we do need to know that it's possible that we actually yeah, I don't think we should need to be accumulating both of them. What I mean is, we shouldn't basically be, when we're accumulating this child, we shouldn't also be factoring in the local accumulator. So we're going through the things. I do feel like local arc isn't the person that we should be talking about. Where's the... So there's local arc. this arc, this arc. So just do this a bit differently. So we know where that's up to. Yeah, and then let's accumulate that thing for this child. This person shouldn't accumulate, but this person should. Right. Add this to our GDB init. Define. Oh. So that's what I don't have at the moment, so I don't think I have that file. He's saying that. Can I source that file? Undefined command array. Define define R. At least my GDB init. Define R is that. I'm on version 8.2.1 by the way. But I guess if you're on Arch as well, probably on the same versions. Oh right, I see. Gotcha. Struct array field. So what we're saying is the structure was the G, wasn't it? We wanted to get the array field. Which was the entries in thingamajig, wasn't it? Holy shit. Dude. I mean, you're racking up the karma today. That's amazing. I had no idea that you could do that. Define, oh. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, and I do just use count for all sorts of stuff. So if I put it for Intel syntax for ASM, yeah, I don't really have a preference for that, I don't think. You can put set assembly flavor in that. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what I would like to do though, is put set print pretty. Redefine command R. Yes or no? Answered yes. It reads GDB init from current directory first. So you can define a tons project. I see. Interesting. So yeah, I did just do some changes, didn't I? So let's relaunch GDB. Relaunch GDB, do our testing, and just see what we've still got. It's possible I didn't need to do that actually, because I don't think we would have modified the database. So, where are we? Yeah, okay, so we need to have that in first of all. It just evaluates GDB init on source, so it will redefine it because it already exists. Yeah. So there we go, we've done this. Rearrange, was it? Reorganize? Yeah, I mean, we're happy to get right into here. So if we run to this, let's step through some stuff. I think we're actually going to encounter this. We're going to pass this test straight up, yeah. So we've still got that. We've got 1524. Now that wasn't printing out like that, was it? But I don't think I mind actually. Frankly. Let's keep going. Actually, let's just take a quick gander at the G. So that's printed that pretty. I think the other print was it was probably the array, wasn't it? It's probably that. I don't mind. So local arc engine generation is 11, and this arc is 132. So that's still remaining the same. We still know where the child is, don't we? Because we haven't moved that person. Still got that. This child should be the thing that we keep. Skipping gear, that's not right. I don't think. Because we actually want to be preserving that. That was the entire point of what we just did. Similarly, this S child, we shouldn't be accumulating the indices of this child because that's not the person we're talking about anymore. So yeah, I wrote that insufficiently. Right, we're accumulating this child into this accumulator. We're skipping this child, and we're testing this child against the configured child. So that seems a bit more correct. wonder if I'd like to... see if I can make sure that these are actually right. Just because, I mean, we accumulated these guys here, and then we got straight into this test. I think I'd like to push risky one further down. So if we just add another person in Cinera, right? So we've got to get bitwise in, and let's just have a project called got any ideas, daughter? Any what projects are you working on at the moment? I don't actually know your full name, do I? Or your homepage. We don't need that kind of information though. I think you can get away with just setting that like that, by the way. It's called P. Perfect. Project called P. Owned by daughter. So yeah. Let's just get this into the database. And then let's comment out both bitwise and P. And see how risky gets treated from there. Now, I am running it again, aren't I? I think I don't need to do that because I haven't made a code change. So I can just remove that, run it again. We shouldn't hit the reorganization case because we're not going to have anything to actually reorganize. And yeah, we did pass, didn't we? Because if it was a error-full configuration, then this wouldn't have actually got us into anything. It would have just reported the error. So now that we've done that, I reckon we should still... What's going on here? Oh right, yes, it's just Vim unable to actually do nested comments. Pretty sure we handle it though. So yeah, we've got into reorganized project interior. Perfect. We shouldn't pass. Perfect. Perfect. Yeah. Right. So is risky basically an orphan? I hope it isn't. No, I hope Mia's going to continue with it. This arc is not as I would expect. Is it? Oh, yeah, you probably actually have to accumulate the project indices after having skipped. That's probably what you have to do. Is that true? Ah, hang on a sec. Actually, tell you what. Should we run that again? So just run it again and just follow that through a bit more carefully. So this arc, at this point, current generation is 0, and there's one of them, one person in it. Yeah, one person in the current generation. This child should be skipped for his children. Well, hold on a second. So, right, this is going to be P, isn't it, actually? Yeah, right. So I've got this a bit wrong, I think, still. Haven't I? The local arc. What am I doing here? The local arc is this. Yeah, I have got this completely garbage. Right, this thing here does actually need to happen. I'm not actually accumulating into this arc at all. It's the local arc is what we're accumulating into. Right? Right? Does that sound right? Basically, all I'm trying to do is trying to figure out how many for each person that for each project that we need to actually sort of move our person before. I need to add up all of the entries in the generations. Right. That's what the local arc is supposed to be for. That's locally accumulating everyone. This arc is supposed to be just this, right? It's not supposed to accumulate multiple things. Yeah, I think this is more correct. So let's just reload and rerun. Still got our breakpoints up there. Right, here we go. What do we have? One, 5, 2, 4. I guess that's kind of okay. 2 and 1. So that looks a bit more reasonable. We've got 2 people in generation 0 and 1 person in generation 1. And in this arc is going to be, that's going to be what we've got in risky. So we've got 1 person in generation 0, 3 in generation 2, 2 in generation 1. That's bang on. Yeah, whatever. 1, 3, 2. That's actually the first time we've seen more than 1 person in generation 0. Let's just now check that that is correct. So essentially what we're saying is this is the accumulation of the people who are in sync with the configuration. So it's just handmade hero so far. The local arc is the accumulation of the people into seeding. So we've got bitwise at generation 0. I think we can remember, can't we? It's like bitwise, and this project here was bitwise. So we've got this generation 0, and then we've got this in generation 1, right? And then we've got this one down here is generation 0. So we've had a 2 to generation 0 and we've had a 1 to generation 1. I think this is what we want. And I think finally, now that we're here, we're actually ready in this area here to actually perform the reorganization. But I can hear that this particular gorgeous album from Kate Bush is just finishing. So I think I'm going to take a break now that we've got to this point. We should have done a couple of hours, shouldn't we? Or was it an hour and a half? We should have done a couple of an hour and a half. Take a break, get some sandwich, and then come back and do the actual reorganization. We dropped a hell of a lot of frames there. 1850 frames we dropped. Yeah, what was going on there? What could have been going on there? The upload and the download were both busted. That is pretty concerning. But never mind. We'll yeah, take a break and continue in a bit. So thank you very much, Heroes and Heroines, for being here for this one. And yeah, no strange restrictions refer to hear half the explanation. To that makes sense. To repeat, is my connection unstable at the moment? Well, I'll tell you what. I think it was actually my network that was struggling. So yeah, what was it that I just explained? I just explained the reorganization, wasn't it? Yeah. Tell you what. Let us go, and I will kind of re-explain when I come back. And if you're not here, I can always link you to the VOD for it, because that's going to be uploaded to YouTube. Let's do it that way. Yeah, I'll probably be back in about half an hour, 20 minutes or so. So, yep, thank you very much, Heroes and Heroines, for being here, for struggling along. Until next time, farewell for now.